recapping the key focal points this week, then starting off with the pound. As I mentioned, pressure was likely to remain on sterling across the board, and so we have seen. However, there was a brief bit of consolidation or a spike higher for the currency on the back of some comments from Bank of England's Haldane, who noted that the central bank should look for withdrawal of its post-Brexit stimulus later on this year. So we did see some balls flocking to GBP, but it was short-lived. Elsewhere, looking over in the commodity sector, we did see some heavy selling pressure or renewed selling pressure in the oil markets, with WTI breaking a long-term trend line that had been going since the early part of 2016, so it convincingly broke through that south. And guys, what's heavily correlated to oil prices? Canadian dollar, so that consequently has had a negative impact on those falling oil prices across the board against its counterparts, and there is expectation for oil to continue to drift lower because there's such a heavy supply and not enough demand, large glut in oil. So that keep an eye or bear that in mind for your Canadian dollar based position, guys, because that very well could cap any upside majorly for the Canadian dollar. Looking over in New Zealand then, the RBNZ did keep rates and policy unchanged as expected. They did note or hint that monetary policy is likely to remain unchanged for the foreseeable future. We didn't see any weakness on that, but we did see some strength in the Kiwi dollar. Why? Because, guys, there was no mention of their concerns about the recent strength in the Kiwi dollar. As I mentioned at the early part of this week, typically they do like to talk down the New Zealand dollar. However, no mention whatsoever. So markets have been buying the Kiwi. There's been some large strength across the board against its counterparts, and it looks like players could very well test the RBNZ until they say something. So there could be some strength to come for the New Zealand dollar. Lastly then, looking at both dollar and euro, little in the way of key economic releases. We did see strong existing home sales data for the US, and in terms of euro, focus remains on any expectation on when the ECB will start to taper from their QE program. So that's it from me. Have a smashing weekend and looking forward to reporting the key events next week. Thank you.